Well, Dana, I've had some really interesting conversations with superintendents around some very hot topics, and ones that can be challenging, I'm sure, just in the day-to-day work of district leadership. And one is around, obviously, funding and how we can be more creative to understand how to incorporate, whether it's the private sector or corporate America, in new and innovative ways, not just from a sort of a human capital and providing some resources, but also just also funding.
Right.
Ways that maybe you and I, when we were growing up in school, they didn't think about, or there was really a division.
Right.
How do you look at that in your district, and are you also seeing that as a trend, that we're more open to those conversations?
I would say we're definitely seeing it as a trend, and there's a terrific openness in our region of the country. We have been engaging a variety of different partners in our work to find creative solutions to our funding issues, not just our partners in the legislature at the state and national level, but also in the business and industry community. And so in our system, over the past couple of years, we've been working to build and create very different kinds of teaching and learning experiences for, in particular, high school juniors and seniors, where not only will they be learning course content, but they will be applying that knowledge to projects and real-world problems that are given to us by business and industry partners. For the work our high school students will be engaging in, our business and industry partners are either paying for those services, they're providing us training and resources, or they're giving us money in kind for a couple of really important reasons. We all share a couple of really big concerns. We want talent to remain in our area of the country. We want to really be able to illuminate a path for our students where they can see what business and industry options there are for them in Wisconsin, so that even if they go away to college, they know, because of the relationships that they will be building, doing that coursework with us, doing mentorship or internship opportunities that are given to us by these partners, that they can come back and have a wonderful career and raise a family in our neck of the woods. And so through those discussions, we have been really pleasantly surprised at the shared concerns and also the willingness to lock arms with us and really think very differently about funding. So that's maybe one example.
Yeah, no, I think that what's interesting what you said there is the forethought in that, look, these students, if we do our job right and we're mindful of our greater community, we can introduce them to opportunities. That, yes, maybe that specific position may change, right, because we continue to evolve, but at least there are relationships and growing awareness of what could be if we stayed in our community. And that's not something we hear all the time, but I think is quite important.
Right, absolutely. So in our region, there are a couple of industries that are really hurting for talent. So information technology, medicine and healthcare, bioscience is an exploding industry in our area, global business, just entrepreneurship. The state of Wisconsin ranks 50 out of 50th in a recent Kaufman Education survey of entrepreneurialism in our state. So there's a real need and a real urgency to think differently. So we're really excited about the potential.
Why do you think they're ranking 50 out of 50 in that? I don't know, just from your perspective, I mean, you're there day to day with students, your community. What is it about it that is not?
I think there's an opportunity for us to be much more purposeful. At K-12 certainly, but also at the collegiate level, and again through these partnerships. There are a lot of really well-intentioned, great people doing wonderful things, but there isn't connectivity, there isn't coherence across all those entities. So we're really trying to build that with the programs that we're putting into place.
And you know what's interesting, Dan, is we're in that world now where students are not seen as consumers, they're really the creators.
Yes, absolutely.
And the ownership of their learning, which really lays nicely with entrepreneurship and the world that they're going to be walking into.
Absolutely.
How, as a district, do you look at it when you think about ownership of learning from a student's perspective, documenting that, and then communicating that out, whether it's, we've heard people talk about a change in even report cards to engaging the parents and the families in that communication loop. Where are we at in that, and how do you see that moving forward?
Right. In our system, we are really taking the opportunity to personalize learning very seriously, starting at really, frankly, kindergarten or pre-kindergarten. So as we look at the type of teaching and learning experiences we're putting into place, we want to make sure those are built with a differentiated approach in mind. Our students start goal setting very, very early. I was just in a first grade classroom where a teacher was facilitating a small group of first graders who were taking ownership of their learning and writing, reading, and math goals. And so, that type of thinking can really happen very early. We really also try to infuse voice and choice for our students as much as possible. And that just then grows as the student grows through our system. So putting the student at the center is really what we're trying to do. We've made great gains kindergarten through 8th grade. High school, there are so many traditional structures and processes that we every year try to chip away at. But again, this pressure that we're getting, I think it's positive pressure from business and industry to really think and do things differently. We're trying to harness that and then really inform and influence practice K-12.
Do you think some of that has to do with engaging the family or the parents in that as well, so that if the students are taking ownership and we're documenting in a more thoughtful manner, and then we're passing that along,
for sure,
I would imagine that can help to break down some of those barriers that we might be seeing at the high school level or the traditional models.
A really easy, simple example and something that's been very high leverage in our system are student-led conferences. So taking the old kind of paradigm of the parent-teacher experience and putting students as the driver of those experiences. Those types of just paradigm shifts can really send in really invaluable messages not only to the family but also to the student about who really needs to be at the center of those decisions, and that is our children.
So you talked earlier about K to 8, right? So what was interesting about that is we see, if we bring ed tech into the conversation, I think when ed tech sort of came onto the scene, very robustly, it was very exciting. There were lots of amazing things going on, but then there was a lot of buyer's remorse and saying, well, if we buy something district-wide, it may work in the middle school or high school level, but that does not mean that it's also applicable to our younger learners. And also, it didn't seem like we were really on board with how to engage the younger learner with technology embedded in their learning. How do you think decisions are made when we're talking about purchasing? Now thinking about, wait a minute, we've got technology potentially that is a great starter at the K to 8 that leads them into middle and high school. Are we doing that?
Well, interesting. Our district's experience with ed tech was a little bit different, and so we are now a one-to-one system, and that's taking us a few years to build into. We primarily leverage iPad technology K2 and Chromebook technology 312. And then we, really, I think, value the Google suite of applications. And for us, we started at the elementary, and then we built into secondary. And so now our students just expect those tools in our classroom. I would say it's been harder for some of our secondary or high school teachers to really embrace technology in their classroom. We're getting better every single year. It just has been more intuitive for our elementary educators. But because there is so much free there are so many free applications out there. There's so much for our teachers to consume. We try to be as open as we can about what other software programs and things that we use. We have not had that buyer's remorse. In fact, I think our teachers are clamoring for more. And so we now have teams of middle school and high school educators asking for iPads because the Chromebooks just don't do everything they'd like to do in their teaching. So no, we're seeing good success with it. We really don't want it to see an over-reliance on it. We want it to be a tool, certainly.
A healthy balance.
A healthy balance, right, which is an ongoing effort, but it's going well so far.
Let's close with this, Dana. How has your role changed, just your own experience in your position? And what's surprised you along the way? I'm just finding that the role has just very, very quickly changed into something that is taking on new personalities and skill sets, and really requires different set of skills to be able to successfully navigate a community in an ever-changing environment.
The nuts and bolts, or the science of my position, I would say, hasn't changed. I'm still responsible for the K-12 instructional program. I'm still responsible for supervising and evaluating our administrative team. I'm still responsible for data and assessment and continuous improvement. I think what has changed is how much time we need to spend in providing hope, providing optimism, being a positive face, a positive voice, being the head cheerleader, being the head encourager. Really not just expecting differentiation of our teachers for our students, but also differentiating my leadership for those that I serve. We have some unbelievable teachers that I get the privilege of working alongside every single day, who take any idea, any initiative, and do more with it than I could have ever imagined. And so it is keeping those people excited and engaged and proud and just hopeful about being an educator in today's very politically charged, dichotomous time. So I would say that has been what has changed.
Yeah, it's definitely being the messenger and understanding the message, the power of that on a day-to-day basis, I would imagine, is almost first and foremost, right?
Correct, it is, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Dana. Continued success.
Thank you.